Hey everyone. For our next math lesson, I'm going to be doing a lesson on 6.10 and on pages 164 and 165 if you want to follow along. It's actually a really easy lesson in the sense it's just kind of doing long division as we've been doing it. The one difference is that with some of our problems today, we're going to see zeros in our quotient. Remember, the quotient is the answer to a division problem. So sometimes a zero can throw us off a little bit. So we're going to do some together to help us kind of just remember what to do when we come upon a zero. And of course, you can also have zeros in your dividend, which is your inside number also. But for right now, we're going to focus on the ones in the quotient when we have to put a zero up here. All right, so remember our steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Dad, mom, sister, brother. So we're going to cover up everything except the first number in our dividend. We have 7 and 7, so 7 goes into 7, and we know it goes in exactly one time. So I'm going to put my 1 on top. I'm going to multiply 1 times 7. That goes underneath. We're going to subtract, put a 0 down there, and we're going to bring down our 1. Now our 1 gets brought down by itself, not with a 4, okay? So the next thing is 7 goes into 1. 7 goes into 1. If I have 1, it doesn't have enough to even have a group of 7. So we know it goes in 0 times. So we're putting a 0 at the top, okay? And then that tells us we can go ahead and multiply and put our 0 and then our 1 down here and bring down our 4. But we could also just take away that step completely. And so when we find out that 7 doesn't go into 1, it goes in 0 times, now we can bring down the 4. And now the 4 can come down together. Okay? So now 7 goes into 14, and I just eliminated that little extra step. It goes in exactly, because I know my 7, 14, exactly 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, 14 minus 14 is 0. No remainder. And so that 0 is there right there on the top. So my answer is 102. Multiplying it times our divisor, which is our 7. 14. 0 times 7 is 0, and we add the one that we carry. So that becomes a 1, because 0 plus 1 is 1. And then 7 times 1 is just 7. And so 714 is our answer, and that matches out. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to take the example from the book on page 164, and I'm going to take it down to number, bottom of 164, 3,529, and I'm dividing by 7. Okay, so 7 doesn't go into 3, but it does go into 35, and so there's like a 0 here, and so 7 goes into 35 5 times. 5 times 7 is, of course, 35, and 35 minus 35 is just 0, and then I bring down my 2. Okay, so here comes the 0. So 7 goes into 2. It cannot, so it goes in 0 times. Notice all my numbers are nice and evenly lined up. And then I'm going to go 0 times 7 is just 0. And I'd bring it down, and I would subtract 2 minus 0 is just 2. So I have that all over again. So I'm going to skip that part. Now I'm going to bring down my 9. Okay? Now I can't always bring down the 29 together, because again, that doesn't always work out that way, but in this case it did. 7 goes into 29 4 times, and we know 7 times 4 is 28, and I'm going to subtract 29 minus 28 is just 1. That's 0 and that's 0. Nothing else to bring down. My remainder is smaller than my divisor, so that's always what we have to remember, is this has to be smaller than that, otherwise we've not gone high enough up here, and so my remainder is 1. Always put our remainder at the top as a complete answer. We're always going to do our check, so 504 multiply it times 7. So this times the outside. 4 times 7 is 28. We carry that 2. And then we do 7 times 0, which is just 0. And then we add 2. So that's a 2. 7 times 5 is 35. And then I've got to make sure I add that remainder because 35, 28 is not what I have under here. So I want to make sure I add my 1.
3,529. Okay, good luck.